We're here today to talk about the Washington Commanders. For years, the team and its owner have caused very real and very serious harm and then lied about it to dodge accountability and to continue to rake in profits. So far, they seem to have gotten away with it, but that stops today. Today, we're filing a consumer protection lawsuit, a civil lawsuit, against Dan Snyder, the Washington Commanders, the National Football League, and the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell for colluding to deceive residents of the District of Columbia about their investigation into a toxic workplace culture that impacted employees, especially women. All of that deception was done to protect their profits and their image.
This is a very creative and aggressive effort by Karl Racine and his staff. It's not a criminal case, it's a civil case. It arises under the authority that is vested in them by the D.C. laws to pursue consumer protection rights. And the argument basically is this. By taking the Beth Wilkinson investigation that was conducted into years of misconduct in the workplace with the Washington Commanders and brushing it all under the rug and covering it all up and hiding the facts from the consumers of D.C. who are passionate fans and devote time and money and attention to the local NFL team, that rises to the level of some sort of an infraction that justifies monetary damages, which probably wouldn't be much. But ultimately what Racine wants to do is force everything that Beth Wilkinson found into the public eye. This is an effort to use the legal system, Charean, to force the NFL to release the report. That's what it is. Whether it's successful or not, we'll see, but that's what he's trying to do.
I have so many questions for you on this, Mike, but I'll start with the fact that if the NFL had requested Beth Wilkinson to provide a written report and release that publicly, they wouldn't be where they are right now, but they are here. I guess my first question to you, and I was talking to somebody, a guy came up to me in the gym, knew who I was randomly, but he said, you know what, whenever there's something legal that happens in the NFL, I quickly click on to PFT because I want to know what Mike Florio thinks about this. And it's true. You're the best at this type of situation. My first question is, Washington, the Commanders are not based in D.C. They don't play in D.C. Their training facility is not in D.C. Do they have a chance to get this dismissed because they aren't in D.C.?
Well, and that's one of the threshold legal questions that gets raised anytime a case gets filed. There are potential defenses unrelated to the actual merits of the claim, whether or not the person has a case based on the facts. Standing is one of the arguments that gets made. Does the D.C. Attorney General have standing to sue the Washington Commanders in D.C. because they don't do business there? The argument is they cater to the consumers in D.C., people who live in D.C., go to the games, watch the games on TV, spend money, time, and effort on the team. That's going to be the argument. And whether or not the court system allows it to proceed or not, that'll be determined by whichever judge handles the case. But this is what makes the Commanders' response to the lawsuit so compelling to me. Even though this won't be binding in court, although if I was Karl Racine, I would use it against them in every court filing that I make, consider what the Commanders said. Over 2 years ago, Dan and Tanya Snyder acknowledged that an unacceptable workplace culture had existed within their organization for several years, and they have apologized many times for allowing that to happen. We agree with Attorney General Racine on one thing. The public needs to know the truth. Although the lawsuit repeats a lot of innuendo, half-truths, and lies, we welcome this opportunity to defend the organization for the first time in a court of law and to establish once and for all what is fact and what is fiction. Charean, the thing that screamed off the page to me when I saw that is they're ready to go on the merits. They don't want to hide behind standing or any other procedural defense that would further the argument that you're making, which is a good argument. What business does anyone in D.C. have when it comes to complaining about anything a business that isn't even in D.C., it's named for it, but it isn't there, has done? They basically dropped that by saying, we welcome the opportunity to separate fact from fiction, and the public needs to know the truth. Hey, if the public needs to know the truth, release the damn report. Then we'll know the truth. That's what this lawsuit is trying to do. Scratch out the names of the people who want to remain anonymous, make up names, Jane Doe, John Doe, this Doe, that Doe, and here's the report. That they should have done that from the beginning. But they hid it because they wanted to protect Snyder. They want to protect the other owners against a similar situation, and they brushed it all under the rug. So I was stunned by the Commanders' response because even though it's not a legal and technical and binding waiver of their right to these other defenses, they're basically saying, we don't care about those other defenses. We're ready to go defend this case based upon the merits of the allegations being made.
In which case, then you wouldn't file for a dismissal. You would want to go to court, and if that's truly how you feel. I think the Commanders this week, Mike, are going to set a record for the most statements issued. They actually issued, one arm of the organization issued a statement, and the other arm issued another statement diffusing what the first statement said. So they may yet set a record on statements this week. Here's my other question for you, Mike. This obviously, I think, is bad for the NFL. It's bad for the Commanders. It's bad for Dan Snyder. And by the way, this could factor into a sale, something that they're going to have to take into account because Racine says it's not going to matter if Snyder sells the team. We're going forward with this thing. Who is this worse for?
I think it's worse for the league because if they go all the way to the bottom of the rabbit hole and get emails and they take discovery and they question people under oath and they find out why, like what was the decision-making process that resulted in this, if they can get to the truth, and as they always say, a cover-up is worse than the crime. That was first really brought to light with Watergate in D.C. There could be a way that the facts unravel in a manner that makes the NFL look really, really bad for how it handled this, and that there was an affirmative effort potentially to hide and conceal as a way not to protect Dan Snyder, but to protect the other owners from having a precedent like this used against them. So, Snyder's already going to sell the team. The end result of the Wilkinson investigation, the recommendation that was never put in writing because they asked her not to or didn't ask her to, was she would have said in writing he should be forced to sell the team. So you can't do anything worse to Snyder. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.